Hello, Facebook family. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Let me see, is this working? Are we going live if you happen to come on? Pop me a hello. Tell me if you can hear me. Is it working? I think we do. I think we are go. Is the sound working okay? I think it is. Hi, Anne-Marie. Hello, my lovely. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Taking a big breath in, letting it all out. Today, what we are going to have a little chat about is the importance of physical touch. Super dramatic there, but yes, physical touch and how important that is in our embodiment practices. What do our embodiment practices give us? They help us reduce anxiety. They help us come home into the body. They help us reset our nervous systems. In other words, everything becomes more relaxed, calm, open, receiving, which means we are more of ourselves. We are in our truth. We are more love. We are more able to receive and give of ourselves in truth and harmony and alignment with the soul source consciousness. Blah, that was a long sentence. But that is why right now, when touch has been, oh, do not go there, right? When we've been told, don't touch each other. Don't even go into the vicinity of your electromagnetic field of your neighbor, which is where your heart resonance lies. All right, where information gets exchanged within a certain meter of your body. Now that's without consciousness. With consciousness, of course, you can extend that around the earth. And that's another thing we'll be getting into. But in general, you're talking around 6 to 6 feet kind of a thing. And right now, people are being told, keep 2 meters away from each other. So not only are you lacking physical touch in the world right now, you're also lacking the distance. And that distancing, that closeness, not distance, there is distance, the closeness, the connection aspect of even as you walk by, your field of consciousness melds with someone else's. This is how we create ripple effects in the world, the butterfly effect. This is how love consciousness travels and ripples through time, through space, through lands. So, what are we to do about this? What does this mean? So I had a download that happened a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote it down, and I cannot for the life of me find it. And I wrote it down in the early hours of the morning after I did a meditation, and it was from specifically the Magdalene, and it was around physical touch. And I just remember being so emotional getting this information that I was barely able to write it, and I was crying the whole way through. Because there was a deep realization and clearing within my own body around touch and how my whole relationship to touch was from childhood to now, and how it's evolved and changed, and how I'm opening more and more as well. And I was being shown what was kind of happening around the world with it, and at the time I wasn't ready to give it voice, and I am now. It's integrated, but I can't even find the transcript. Oh no. But from memory, I will share what was said to me. And somebody recently posted an article actually that was written in a paper that I put on my page, and it's worth a read. It goes a little bit more into the biological and physiological aspects and the importance of touch with that as well. So I would love to hear your comments. What do you feel around the importance of touch in your life? Are you feeling you're lacking it right now? Is it something that was never that important to you, or is it something that now feels like a loss? And maybe you're not affected by it. Maybe you're living with people and you're not solo on your own. Maybe your love language isn't predominantly, and maybe this is where the predominance is an issue, if somebody's predominant love language is touch and they're lacking that right now, that must be quite difficult. So our concept of self is rooted in touch. The very first things that happen to us as babies is we're held. It's our form of connection. We come out of the womb connected via umbilical cord. And when that is released and shed, the next link to the mother and father is the holding, the touch. That's what creates a sense of safety in the physical body. And the space where babies are most held, believe it or not, is where the neck, again, you're going on the nervous system here, right here, where you have that link into the brain. And of course, you know, the buttocks area, right? That space where the hand goes in underneath. And that's the base of the spine. That's that part of the bum bum in a baby where you're kind of holding, you're supporting. And that's the end of that nerve, like the end of that major nerve. So it's also the root, and that sense of safety developed in that space, developing in that space from childhood to now. So again, nothing is ever separate. All of these are linked into one, but I mean, touch is also linked into sound, into smell, into taste, into all of the senses. It is also, in one way, can be extrasensory, and I've mentioned this before as my theory, because I haven't seen it written down anywhere else. But with my awakening and my issues with my own nervous system, which were huge, and required a lot of surgeries and required a lot of recuperation. And a major issue with my vagus nerve is when I was in my healing and receiving my information about what was wrong with me, it came through that system. Okay, it came through, my information came to me from my nervous system, and it was gathering the people I needed outside. It was almost putting feelers out into the field of quantum, the quantum field. So I believe our nervous systems are extrasensory. They are most definitely partly embedded into that quantum field of consciousness that connects us to earth, that connects us to the tree. It's the sense of knowing your animals when they're hungry. It's the sense of knowing your kids when they're in danger, right? It is part of what brings back that information to us. And when we become attuned to it, and when it's in alignment, and I'm still like, I'm still healing, right? But I know the more and the more and the more I've done this, and the more and more I've reset mine and continue to do that. And when I'm out of alignment, I know, right? But when I come back in, I'm like, oh, something's off here. Back in again. I'm connected. It opens up chakra systems. It aligns you. It's not the only thing, but it is a major fact. It's major. It's major. Especially because we're here to be in a body. We're not here to be separate from the body. We're here to be embodied as spirit in matter, experiencing our creations around us. And this also feeds into manifestation, which we're not going to talk about now. But touch is a major aspect of that. And that's why I'm bringing it back to the physical, the touch, the touch, the touch. I'm taking a breath. Why? Because the breath regulates the nerves. So if you want to breathe with me. And I'm going to shake myself out as well, because I can feel like I'm getting passionate about sharing this. And I'm like, it's okay, Mary, come back in. You don't need to prove anything or overshare. So I'm going to invite my system to relax down again. And that's a stimulus as well. Like when we're speaking or being heard or being seen, our reaction is to kind of, so I'm just even observing me and my talking with you, right? So I'm coming back in, I'm relaxing down and put my feet flat on the floor. And I'm going to sigh out. I'm taking in my surroundings with my optic nerve, which makes me present again. This is about being present. And I'm going to place a hand on my body to touch, to bring me back in. So I'm literally doing this in the middle of this chat with you, right? So I'm bringing it back into focus now, and the focus is socialization. A lot of the children right now and adults are not receiving their socialization cues via physical touch. And like I said before, when I'm talking around the word touch, it also includes for me, and I wonder, do I have a picture on my phone that I can show? Because I saw one recently and I took it. It is, and show, can I? Yes, I can. I have one here. Okay. So if you guys can see this, two people and their fields, these are their electric fields. See the two hearts in the middle. So these are your magnetic fields around you, your fields of consciousness around you. That field touches things all the time. It is touching matter around you and gathering that data. And we are social creatures. That is the way we're brought in. We weren't here to be alone or separate. We're here to create and co-create and be one. one in connection with one source, one consciousness, one love, right? Peace, oneness. And in that, there's the harmony and the joy and the bliss and the beautiful creations that can be made. So when we're not even having that element of contact happening, that's conscious and of heart space, we're missing out a little. So what can be done to bring and fill in, if that is a gap, let's say that is a gap now in consciousness, and it's a gap in physicality, what needs and wants to happen, and what is it causing in people? What's this causing, this separation and lack of touch? So I've said it before, okay? It increases anxiety. Lack of touch, there's an increase in anxiety because there is a sense of isolation or loneliness. Touch is a love language for many people. It's sometimes their predominant love language. And for those that it is your predominant love language, it can be a major issue right now, especially if you're single or living alone. Touch and lack of touch, when we have emotional triggers and when we're taking on all of the gunk that's happening right now in the world and having our own deeply embedded ancestral stuff come up, or our karmic stuff come up, or just general trauma from this life come up. Excuse me as I readjust my bra. I can just I'm being videoed. Why are you doing that? Anyway, take me as I am. Oh, I have to laugh at myself because if I won't, nobody else will. If we're lacking touch in this way, we're missing out on a vital component of what it is to be human, the beingness of human, and the joy in that being. And I particularly feel it right now, and this is why I got so emotional when I had that download. I particularly was shown around the children and the older generations, who tend to be more isolated anyway because their children and their grandchildren have moved off. They may not be living near them. And I'm like, oh, do I go off on one now? I used to work in a nursing home when I was 14. There was a family business. So I started working when I was 14, 15, 16, and all in the caring profession stuff. So I remember one particular week, and it was maybe my first or second week working in the nursing home. And it just happened. And it just happened that the time I started, and it hadn't happened for years, but the time I started, a number of the patients were ending their time on earth. Their time on earth was all coming to a close the same day and the same week. And in that time, obviously, because it was, a small nursing home, it wasn't a huge staff, they were a bit stretched. So I was naturally doing what I was guided to do. I wasn't taught this. I wasn't told. I was just being. I was 14. I was just being me. And I remember that sense of souls leaving and spirits leaving, and the fear that some of the friends of, there were old people and their friends. That's what I saw them as. These older ladies and their friends were dying, and they were in deep fear. There was definitely two in particular I remember, because they shared a room together. And this woman was in deep distress, and she was all alone. She was all alone because the nurses were trying to sort the families out, and obviously there was more than one person dying at the same time. So she was all alone, and I went into the room, and it was obviously like this was not a normal circumstance. And I went into the room to her, and I could feel it. I felt her. She didn't speak much, and she was shaking, like her body was shaking in fear. And I was like, I didn't know her. I asked her her name. I sat by her. I took her hand in mine. And I just looked into her eyes, and I was kind of like, what does she need? And I remember getting the sense, the feeling that she's afraid of dying. Her friend is dying, but actually the fear wasn't around anything more than she was terrified of dying and being, in the meantime, being alone. So she was terrified of being all alone in that room. And then it was like, oh, my turn is next. My turn's next. I'm going to die. I'm all alone and I'm going to die. I'm going to take a breath. I'm sharing this. This wasn't planned for me to share this, but it involves physical touch and the importance of it. I had no words. I was 14. What is it? It was like I was a kid. Like, what do I say? She didn't tell me this. It was like a deep knowing I had in my heart. And I didn't know what to say to her. Nobody was around. I pulled up a chair and I sat and I took her hand. And I remember feeling like, go down to her feet. She was shaking. Now, I didn't know this. When I look back, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I know why I felt like I was being guided to her feet. Because she was out of her body, completely leaving her body in fear. And this is what's happening in all of these nursing homes around the world right now. It is what's happening with older people alone, living in their own housing accommodations. And I'm going to say some kids too, and some adults. But this is what came to me when I was getting this transmission. And I went down to her feet and I lifted up the covers and I asked her permission. Would you like me to put my hands on your feet? Are you okay if I hold your feet? And they were freezing cold. Poor woman had freezing cold feet. And I don't think she'd ever been touched in a long time, obviously by a child of, a young girl of 14. And I just warmed up my hands. And I wasn't an energy, I didn't know any of this. It was just a natural thing I was doing. Warmed up my hands and placed them on her feet. And I began to gently press, just gently press with my thumbs into some parts of her feet. And I could hear her start to breathe deeper and come back in. What was I doing? I realized I was grounding her back into her body. She was being touched in love, because that's all I had at the time. That's all I was able to give at 14. And I was just calling her back, gently, with my intention of like, it's okay, you're safe, come home. And I was rubbing her feet in that way. I'm getting a little emotional telling you this. She must be long dead now at this stage, that woman, rest in peace. But that's all it took. It didn't take her to get a sedative. She didn't have to go and get a sedative or get a Prozac or any of that. It took just her breathing, me breathing with her and holding her feet to know that she was safe to land back in her body. So physical touch brings you home. And so many are lacking it right now. And it can look as simple as a hand like this on an arm. How are you? How are you feeling today? A hand on a shoulder, right? The back. And this is for moms and dads with their kids, or spouses and wives and husbands or partners. So if you put your hands in between the back chakra, so if our heart chakras are here, just right there where the back is, that's your back of the heart chakra. That's where you receive and open that chakra up to receive more love, right? Right through there. Your physiological nervous system has the most amount of neurons in the skin there. And those neurons, because this is what I read in that thing as well, I didn't know the name of them. What were they called? CT neurons. And these CT neurons, they're called C-tactile afferents. Tactile, touch, right? That's what they're called, tactile afferents. When they're stroked gently, right? When they're gently stroked, they create a physiological response in the body. The breath gets deeper, the cortisol levels lower, the adrenaline lowers, you open up to receiving oxytocin secretions in the brain, dopamine, all of the effects of calming a nervous system. And you enter into the body, into love. You're receiving. So it's not like there is a physiological thing that happens in the body with this energetic exchange of touch. Now, you don't have to be going around touching all day long. Like, this is just one aspect of it. Tara Love Perry has a process called I Love You Me, and you can check her out. It's a process that I first learned about to come into self-love because it was a major thing I had. I did not like to be touched. Like, the whole like fleeting touch was fine, but like, you know, embracing long embracing hugs. I went through phases of I just didn't want to be touched. And anytime I was in the phase of don't touch me, I was in scarcity mode, lack mode, unsafe mode, anxiety mode. And being touched would feel like an electric shock to me because I was not safe to receive. I did not feel safe to receive. It felt like, you know, my barriers and my defense systems were up. Don't touch me. When we are feeling safe with a particular person, and this is obviously like, you know, it needs to be always with permission, okay? Touch has to have permission. You just don't go near without getting permission first. This goes without saying in this talk, you know, okay, it's not like you go up to strangers and just randomly start stroking their back now. So it needs to be with permission from the person receiving, because if they are in anxiety or if their nervous system is fired up in the freeze, fight, flight, right? If it's fired in that way, being touched can be another reaction to I'm not safe, withdraw. So there's an element of, if your kids are in that right now, or if you have parents and you're visiting them and they haven't been touched in a while, even hugged in a while, and you might get that sense of withdrawal. And even maybe with you, like, notice, is this with you? Have you any of that within you? Eye connection, and you're emitting love, right? Come into the heart space, come into love. Again, hold your own heart to bring you back down before you touch somebody. Make sure you're embodied. And when you're going there, you can either ask that permission if you don't know them that well. You know, would you like a hug? Would you, how do you feel about this? If they're a yes, if you get that permission, you can't go if they say no. An embrace in that way heals more than any drug. And I know there's a lot of rhetoric right now. You cannot hug XYZ. You will kill them by hugging them kind of rhetoric. I'm not saying there's wrong and right with this, but I invite you to truly, truly, truly feel into what is your soul telling you, because that's right above any powers that be that tell you anything. And this is an ego, not what your ego is telling you. It's like, are you listening to the soul of you and the soul of the other person? Now, if it says distance is needed, fine. But if your soul is saying, surpassing all risk, this is what's needed by that soul right now. With my truth, this is what you need to do. You need to hug them, right? You need to hold them. You need to, even if it's like holding their feet, like I did with that lady at that time, maybe that's it, So, touch is so important. I Love You Me has elements of connection, and a big part of the process is breath, breathe and receive. The second part of that process, because breath brings you back in, spirit is on the breath. And often breathing is a thing that we don't do when we're not safe. We'll hold the breath, or we'll breathe only to hear, right? So breathing and receiving of the breath, holding, connecting, particularly the heart space. Sometimes the belly needs to be held. And in that way, you can do you. So you can self-soothe and self-regulate through touch as well. You can bring down, because when your mind is in such a way of like, well, you're stroking self, you're rubbing self. You see me do this most of my lives are like, I'm doing this to me, right? Because that is a self-soothing, self-regulation. You have certain points in your body. These are your surrender points here and here in Chinese medicine. You can press certain points of the body as you breathe, right? To help self-regulate and again lower cortisol and emit the good oxytocin, dopamine in the brain. So you feel good. It lets the skin feel touch. Skin wants to feel touched. Touch also increases blood circulation. It brings oxygen. It brings vitality. It brings collagen. All the feel-good stuff. All the youth rejuvenation. Touch is important for this. Lomi Lomi. Who knows about Lomi Lomi? Who's had Lomi Lomi massage? By the way, if Jean sees this later, I haven't gone through any of the comments yet, my lovelies. I will in a minute though. Tag anybody that you feel needs to hear this right now, any moms with kids even. I'm going to drop some stuff to do with kids in a bit. I keep cleaning my teeth because the last time I was on a live I had freaking lipstick all over them. And I love my lippy. I do my lippy for me. Lomi Lomi is a Hawaiian type massage, right? It's not Hawaiian type. It originates in Hawaii. And I received my very first Hawaiian massage, Lomi Lomi, from Jean Bohm. Most of you ladies know who she is because you've done my light language course with me and she's been on it. I'm going to rehydrate. And Jean it wasn't that long after my surgeries. I was fairly new on my journey, like when I met Jean, and I was recommended to go to her because I was seeing psychologists at the time, because I thought I was going crazy, like, you know, I thought I was going schizophrenic. I was hearing voices, I was seeing things. This was part of my awakening though, right? And it was after my near death, kind of like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. So this woman, I had an amazing lady I was going to see for 3 months, and I was at the end of my 3 months with her, and she's like, there's not much else we can do together but see these people, and Jean was one of them. And I knew a major part of my journey was being okay with being in my body. So I went to Jean, and I was terrified of going to see and being touched. I was terrified, especially after surgery, and I had a major disassociation with my body. Like I did not like my body. I did not want to be in my body. I had issues with how it looked, how it felt. And the Lomi Lomi, I felt safe with Jean the minute I met her. I mean, that lady is a medicine woman. Jean, it's a shout out for you, my darling. And her whole thing was like magic medicine. But my first experience with the Hawaiian massage, and she explained a little bit to me about it. It's a sacred touch. Now, not all touches are the same. Okay, but Lomi Lomi by this woman that I knew named Jean was sacred, and it was holy. And when I was receiving that, God, I get emotional again today. I'm just saying this. While I was receiving that sacred touch, oh my God, why am I crying? Crying and laughing at the same time. And deep appreciation for you, Jean. Thank you. I've been brought into the process, as I remember. I was going on this journey. So, Lomi Lomi. Holy moly, Lomi Lomi. Lomi Lomi is an initiation. It is a ceremonial rite in Hawaii. And it's done through sacred touch. The elders would give this sacred flow with the hands, like the massage, right? There's a certain flow to it, to their children. They'll bring them into the temples, and an elder would carry out this sacred massage on them, this sacred touch. And they would do it for hours. And it would bring you into a state. When I say state, like touch can bring you into states of being, like ecstasy, bring you into states of healing, purging, releasing. So the idea was, and the intention was, that these children would release their childhood traumas, if they had any, through this sacred rite in the temple. Oh my God, my nose is running now. I'm falling apart. So the kids in these temples would receive these sacred rites of initiation into adulthood. It was on the precipice of adulthood that they would receive these rites of initiation. And they would be guided into their inner journey. And it was to find out their purpose, why they were here, what their purpose was in their bodies, and to embody as well. And they would often get a knowing of what it was their role, let's say, in their community. So they would get a sense of being from this massage. Okay, my role is whatever that was. And this type of touch and massage was about releasing ingrained patterns that were either ancestral and no longer serving them, or, like I said, childhood traumas, but also to help them access higher states of consciousness. And while I was receiving that, that's what would happen when Jean was doing this Lomi massage on me. I was entering into other states of consciousness and receiving healing and advice and a knowingness around coming back home into my body and allowing it to heal. Because my nervous system was fried, right? So releasing anxiety to move into a space of rejuvenation. And that cannot happen until we release and let go, and until a reset happens in the nervous system, and the body and the fascia begin to, when they're so tightly wound, they begin to open, which is a receiving and a releasing. So, touch can be done when you're in your family like this, when you have permission. You can do similar things with your babies, with your younger children, with their permission as well. And I know I've seen some women, they do toddler massage things. So you can look things up like that. And all this, when you're the giver of that, because you are, and this is the thing with the mind, right? And it's amazing. It's called Vicarious Touch. That's what it's called. And you could even watch a video of someone getting a massage. And if you just imagine and you're holding self and you're watching it, you're going to receive the same benefits, very similar, and your whole system will calm down as well. As a giver, if you have an animal or a pet or a child, like, I'm not comparing your pet to your child, by the way, but that's how it came out. And you're God, now it sounds like I'm going to say you're petting your child. I'm just going to go back to the kid. Leave the pet out of it. Let's just say you're stroking your little kid or whatever on their head. Where am I going with this? And you're breathing, you're being conscious with it. You're going to start evoking that same sensation they're feeling in your body. Okay, now this is you start activating compassion parts in the brain as well. There's a whole thing and a science behind this. What was the word that I found? So I was just looking this up, and it's called, it is cultivating compassion. It helps cultivate compassion and lower protective barriers. So we're releasing oxytocin, which is the love hormone. So it increases depth of connection between you and your child. As children get older, they get a more sense of their own being, of course, as well. And they get a sense of their own space. And that usually is around the teenagers, right? Usually you leave the invite open for them to come to you. I'm here if you'd like a hug. Or I'm here if you'd like me to, give you a little back massage. And vice versa, invite them to give onto you. And dinner table talk, without distraction, without multimedia, without phones, right? There's no distractions at the dinner table. speaking of your own experiences with compassion will help cultivate that within them. That's how they learn. What am I feeling? What did I need to help me feel XYZ? They will learn that way. And if not right away, it'll develop a curiosity, because kids usually want to learn about things. If they see something's working for mommy or daddy or auntie or uncle, whoever is there, they will be like, well, if that's working, what can it work for me? With the pet thing, kind of keeping that separate from the kid thing, when you're stroking your pet, right? Whether it's a horse or a dog or a cat or a hamster, it doesn't really matter. And you're breathing in and you're cultivating a connection there with the animal, you will also receive the same levels of oxytocin release. And that's why you feel grounded usually when you have pets around you and they're licking you, or you're just even placing your hand, or the cat's purring on the chest. They're all emitting a frequency as well, right? They're all going to emit. Your pet will emit a low frequency, and your vibration will match it. Because they're unconditional. That's part of the thing. Kids are unconditional, you see, too. Unconditional love. They're tapped into that still. So yeah, there's all of that aspects around physical touch, and we kind of forget it, or we get separate from it. And I'm just stating the obvious. This whole thing is a stating of the obvious, but it needs to be said, because I am hearing so much. Oh God, I'm trying to find words to say this, and I'm going, oh God, right? So there is hypnosis happening, mass level. I'm a qualified hypnotherapist, right? Hypnosis around touch is happening. And the hypnosis is, do not touch, social distance, keep separate. And when you keep separate, you save lives. I'm not disputing any of that, but what I'm saying is you're creating now a program around touch and separation that is totally separate with what we're talking about with the virus. I'm just saying people are getting programmed. And I'm saying people, I'm saying 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds with brains that are malleable are now programmed for their lives unless it's deprogrammed. Do you get me? Like, we're adults. We can bring a much more conscious logic into that. Whereas with kids, that understanding isn't quite there yet. They're still developing. That matter in the brain still hasn't solidified in the way that an adult has. And they're getting programmed. They're seeing signs with arrows. They're getting told, stand back, stay away, don't hug that person. Kids' natural thing is to touch. That's how they learn. They want to touch it. They want to taste it. They want to do all of the things, because that's how their body gets to learn and develop the programs and the neural networks and the understandings about the world around them. I'm not an expert and I'm no freaking scientist, but that is common knowledge. You don't have to go to a book for that. That's we all know this. And right now that is being skewed to an unacceptable degree. And all of the role models, and I'm calling out to teachers now, and I'm calling out to, the society leaders that would be in their social groups or networks. What would they be? Teachers, the postman, the shopkeeper effect, the church leader, the bus driver. These are all community leaders in the eyes of a young child. They're all people they're like, oh, I get to go somewhere with the bus person, or I get to buy something with mom from the shopkeeper, or in school I'm being taught, or in church everybody's listening. Whatever it happens to be, they're the role leaders. And what are they saying? What is coming from them? What is the energy exchange happening there? And I'm not saying there's a right and a wrong and a good and a bad and a XYZ, but I'm saying be really aware. Even if you're not seeing anything present in your kids right now, if you have kids, but be aware to have conscious conversations around the dinner table now, because it'll be up more than ever to the closest in the home to have those conversations, because they're not getting them anywhere else without the programming, which is NLP. Keep separate, don't touch, don't hug, Don't go near. Have you your covers on? Have you washed your hands? Because if you touch without washed hands, then you're dirty. Do you know what like there's all of this stuff. Again, I'm not disputing or creating anything around, right and wrong, but I'm saying be aware that's still a program. And where has that even seeped into your consciousness? Right? How is smiling with a mask on for you? Right? How is yawning with a mask on? Right? Because if we're like this, and believe me, where I am in Spain, it's mandatory everywhere. The minute you leave your home, it's not like you just wear it going to a shop. It's everywhere. Apart from when you sit down, if you want to go to a bar or a restaurant, I think they're open for a while. That's the only time that it's permitted to be off. So this whole thing with the jaw, and I said the jaw is linked into your pelvic floor, and the pelvic floor is your root center, the center of safety. Tension, not safe. Everything's linked. So touching and massaging yourself every day. I do exercise now all the time. I have to, because I get tight, because I'm not naturally doing what I would do. I've gone off a little bit against the touch thing, but everything is connected. This is the thing. Everything is connected. We can't isolate one aspect of self from another. So what are the love languages? What we have, the words of affirmation, the gift, the quality time, the touch, all acts of service. So these are all love languages. We all have all of those to one extent, but one or two may be more dominant than another. And if touch is your dominant one, you better be sure to be giving what it is you need to you, especially if there's no one else around to do that. So another technique that you would do first thing when you wake up in the morning is be present with your body and take 3 to 5 minutes to do that. So rather than reach over, you turn off your alarm and look at your phone or, even go to the bathroom, I would say spend at least 2 minutes and you're breathing in and you're noticing the body. You're putting your hands over your whole body. Right? Sorry, I am literally what is it with me? You don't need to put on sensual music. It's not about sex. But touch has an element of sensuality, and we are of senses and matter. So wherever you need and want to touch, right, and you're going to do that and breathe and notice, what am I feeling? Because anything you're processing from the day before will have gone through the mind space at night in your sleep, right? Or your poor sleep, depending on how much beta. We talked yesterday about the brain waves, how much of a brain wave state is in your dominance, right? Are you more beta or are you more alpha? If you're alpha, you're getting rejuvenation. If you're more in the beta brainwave, which is the busy mind, it's focused, it's active, you're less likely to be in a deep sleep at night because you're going to still process what's happened in the day. You'll have active dreams. You'll have the physiological symptoms. So you might wake up, God, I'm really tired waking up. Or why is my heart even beating the minute I wake up? Why do I feel heightened the minute I open my eyes? Or my neck's sore and stiff. Or I have pain in my lower back. Something's off. It's but bring your attention to where it's off. Bring your hands, breathe into it. Give it a moment. Hold it. Connect. What is this me? What am I feeling? Even if that's as far as you go. Because you'll actually acknowledge what's there and create an opening for a release. Even if you don't go further than that, you're acknowledging. Acknowledging is the first step. Okay? So this is something I've started doing. I only do 2 minutes. Sometimes I do it in the shower. It's about bringing awareness. A lot of the times I would wake up, go in for the shower. I'm not present. I'm following habitual, you're doing habit stuff. So in habitual mode, you're not actually being present and being focused. You're not really there. Your body is doing what it knows. So you're bringing awareness through breath and touch, which immediately is mindfulness. It's mindfulness. It's a meditative state. And you can then bring in Love. Hi, me. Hello, me. I love you, me. Thank you, me. What intention do I have for today, me? Ask a question to connect to source. What is my soul want to be today? What does my soul want to express today? Like, you can bring in questions then. Curiosity. Childlike curiosity. These are always to develop your intuition, by the way, and manifest like a mofo. Ding! How do you think I'm living in Spain? I love it. Okay, let me see. Some other things that can help is weighted blankets can give that sense of touch as well. Not something I particularly like. I read it though in the research, they have shown in research it does help. So some people may find that good. That is everything I'd written down to kind of share. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Let me see what is on the comments, and if anybody's any questions, ask them now. I'm going to pull a card and give a transmission. We will be calling for the Magdalene, and I feel like Lemurian wants to come through. Okay. Funny enough, I talked about Jean, and then yesterday I made a video on vagal nerve resets and talking about that. And I saw a video on Jean's profile right after I did that live with vagus nerve exercises, because a lot of what I do is with the vagus nerve, because that's what gets fucked up when we have trauma. That gets freaking fried when there's trauma or micro trauma or shock or fear. Or not safe in the body. The vagus nerve, which is linked in with your automatic nervous system, which is directly, you have the two states. You have the rest, digest, or the fight, flight, freeze. So it is continually a focus to bring us back into rest and digest. And I was the queen of thinking. I was in a calm state, because I would present calm because of obviously great actress. I don't know. I would always have some type of persona. But when you present calm, it's the boiling frog effect. I've talked about that boiling frog effect. You put a frog in boiling water, it'll jump the frick out. And that's great. That's your nervous system working properly. There is a danger, you freaking run. However, when you're exposed, which is what's happening in the world, we have 2 years of it now, we're coming up to year 2, of continuous exposure to not safe, danger, spikes, deaths, XYZ, whatever words that they keep repeating NLP wise to hypnotize everybody into feeling afraid. Whether they're consciously doing that or not, I'm not going to accuse, but I'm saying that is, when I look at this, that's what's happening. So with that in mind, the frog, the analogy is you put a frog in cold water, you boil it slowly, and it dies. It'll never jump out. So what happens is we think we're calm. We think our nervous systems are here. Let's say if you're between 0 and 10. 10 is most intense, right? You put a frog in boiling water, it goes 10. Freaking hell. Put a frog in cold water, 0. You're normal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 30. Go up all the numbers. You still think you're down here, but actually you're up here. So you're like, oh, I feel okay. I'm fine. But no, you're not. You're here. You don't even know. You can't even remember what it was like to be here, because it was so gradual and it was one thing on top of another, until maybe when you get to here, and then that's overwhelm and complete shutdown and something freaking happens. And usually what happens is, for me, it was a major life event, right? My body broke down. You'll have something that'll happen, either a mind, you'll actually fry your circuits and you'll end up depressed, or nervous collapse, or exhaustion, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. These are all really common. Lupus, autoimmune diseases, viral impacts, because your immunity is low. People tend to have more accidents, so you'll be banging into stuff, breaking bones, falling, having accidents. All of these are symptoms of that. Okay. There's my little rant. Let me check in with the... I need to take another breath. there's two things that rile me as I've been on this, and I say riled in an Irish way, like gets my gout. Talking about the kids, because there is an element of like, there is a protection element involved with children because they're growing, they're not in their full power, like, you know, they're growing, they're embodying. And then with the older people too, like the elderly, and the same thing is there with that. This is that birth death phase, right? So yeah, it's like, yeah, I suppose it's the vulnerable, isn't that the word you might use? There we go. That riles me. I don't have words for it. So Eve, the notes perhaps they're in between the pages of the book. Look later. Don't know what you're referring to. Maybe it was something I was talking about. Brianna, you're in active healing too. Awesome. Donna, I try to be authentic. That is, I try, as in, when I say try, I am in the being of that, and I can only be in that in as much as I know I am in that moment. And believe me, there's times I look back, I was like, I thought I was authentic then, but I didn't know what I do know now, and that's okay. Let me see. Your teenage daughter doesn't want me to touch her, always refuses a hug too, so I just sound close by and send her love. Yeah, teenagers, that is quite common with teenagers. I'm going to just play because it depends. Obviously, every kid is different and every relationship is different, and every phase, even in that relationship, is different, like the ages and stuff. If they don't want to be touched, that's okay. If they tell you why, that will be interesting to be curious, not like a why from a needy space, but it's more a wonder. I wonder why, or maybe you like a hug in the morning or the evening, or maybe if not a hug, like a hold your hand, or maybe you'd like me to comb your hair. Like, find something that might be a gateway if it feels aligned. I'm not saying to do it because it may not, but it would be interesting to be curious and explore, and maybe it's not so. This is the thing I can only go again. I'm going to not say this is true, but for me, what was true for me doesn't mean it's true for everybody. I definitely went through phases where I didn't want to be touched. Like, absolutely, I talked about that already. And particularly there would be certain people I definitely wouldn't want to be touched by. And when I say touch, I mean hugs or, closeness at certain points. And usually I was working through things with them, but I didn't know I was working through things with them at the time. And these are particularly close relationships, like parent relationships, mother-father stuff, sister-brother stuff, or an unresolved, something that needed to be said, hadn't been said, and I had created a barrier. So this is, again, I can only go back to me because I can't speak for anybody else. I had created a barrier between me and that person to protect. And as I've been doing my own work now, which is obviously many freaking years later, because this was in my teen years and my early 20s, I actually went back into that time phrase to clear what I realized. Oh, I had a freaking thing. I wanted to say this and I never did. And I held it again. I held it and probably against them too. And they didn't know. And it was like I was punishing by me holding back was my form of like, well, you didn't listen, you didn't acknowledge, you didn't love it the way I needed. Like, and I was a kid, like, teenager. But yeah, it'd be like to open up a dialogue. I wonder, and that might bring you nothing either. I'm just saying it out loud to see, because I cannot speak for anybody else other than me. And that might not have worked for me at the time either, because we all there's a divine timing sometimes. There's divine timing, and being okay with that. I suppose as well, moving into a space of non-attachment. And we have, and this is something Duke Sawyer does a lot of work with, we have attached, where there's that neediness, like I need to be touched and hugged by XYZ, which is not an energy that anybody wants to go and hold you or touch you in, right? Because it can feel needy. And then there's the detached, which is where I was on the other end of the scale. and you can veer between both depending on what's happening. But it's noticing if this is within you, right? By the way, and when I say you, I mean anybody watching, because it's something I have to look at within me. Either I sense it from somebody else and I'm like, oh, that makes me want to repel. Okay, so what does that mean? I go in, what does it mean about me? What attachment do I have to that? Why do I want to run? What is that? And I go into that and my beliefs that I have formed around that. If it's an attachment where I feel like, why won't they come to me? There's a needy energy from me. Like, why don't they show me they love me in XYZ? I move into that. What does it mean about me if they don't? What does it mean about me if they do? What does it mean? What meaning am I giving it? So what story am I making up and giving it? When really the other person may be totally neutral, but I'm creating something around it. So then I clear what that is and I move into a space of non-attachment. So if they do, great. If they don't, great. Have I mastered this? Freaking hell no. I do have a meditation on it. If anybody wants it, post below. I'll send it to you. It's private. It was used in one of my groups. It's really good, that space. It's good for your business stuff too, by the way, with clients. Like I've used this to do with clients and workshops and what do you make it mean about you? You can use it for a lot of different things, but that noticing attachment and also the opposite end, detachment, and how that makes you react, because that'll be your trigger points. It'll be your reaction either way, one way or the other. And non-attachment is neutrality. That is peace no matter what happens, love no matter what happens, non-judgment, non-projection no matter what happens. I suppose that's the walking master, isn't it? All right, Brenda, Lummy is powerful. You had it. Yeah, gorgeous, love it. Hello Marlene. Energy, healing energy through the hands. Yes. Does this have anything to do with hands always hot? Yes. And burning at night. I've always wondered about that. Yes. How long has that been going on for, Marlene? Has it been all your life or just recently? So if it's something recent, really common symptom with the activation of your gifts, but also a common symptom of ascension symptom. Right? As we move into our vibration shifts, as the Earth's vibration shift, and as we embody more cold, more light plasma, more cold, more light, we can have symptoms like the activation of the hand chakra, right? Activation of the hand chakra. What needs and wants to happen? What do the hands want to do? Have you ever talked to that? Oh, God, you're boiling hot. Does this want to go somewhere? Or does it go back into me? Or do I bring it and bless? Does something want to be blessed? Like you can play with that. You can totally get really curious like a child. Oh, what can I do with this? How can I play with this? And sometimes for some people, it could be the opposite of heat. It could be pins and needles tingles. It could even look like, and sometimes when my hand chakras are activated, it's almost like you can see through the skin. Has anybody ever had that? Like you're seeing through the skin and you can see all the veins and the skin becomes a different color, almost what's the word? Translucent? Transluminous? I don't know. I can't speak. But yeah, it's interesting to play with. Donna, you have the weighted blanket and your teenage son sleep and they sleep better. Interesting. So I read about that and it's the same. I wonder, is it that swaddling? You know, you swaddle the baby and they sleep better. That swaddling has that effect of being held and we all want to be held. So yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? Right, what am I doing now? I'm reading the comments, so you're seeing me look this way, but I'm being present at the same time, so I'm going to make noises. Donna, thank you, my lovely, thank you. I've been working through my being seen, being heard stuff, right? And I will say I felt like Donna Pointing, thank you for that comment. Donna Bailey, who's just right under that. And some of the ladies here, Anne-Marie, A few of you have been on my light language course that we did in January, February. And I know I worked with ye, obviously holding that space, and we did a lot of the clears on being seen and being heard. But believe it or not, it's actually, I've had huge shifts from it. So I want to thank you, because you held that space for me too. That's why I call it, it's co-creation. Everything is a co-creation. And that's why it's so blessed. Like I say, blessed, it's a blessed thing. Like this is a co-creation, what we're doing right here, right now. We're co-creating, our energies are engaging, our feels, because my intention is that you feel me. My feels are with you, and your feels, when you're saying, yes, I give permission, are with me too. And this is that thing that even though like it's not exactly the same as being something in the essence of that person thing, but it can still happen online. You can still have the key and the lock, and we're unlocking each other and we're opening keys and the blueprints and we're connecting. All right. Swaddle and safety. Yes, security. So weighted blankets can bring about a feeling of security. So that was one of the kind of things that came through. So yeah, I'll just recap. Weighted blankets have been proven by science to help with that sense of safety, and touch, where there's that feeling of lack of touch. Embodiment practices have the same effect. Some of these embodiment practices are, like I said, every morning you're bringing awareness and conscious to the body, and you're going to start stroking the body. Stroking, allowing your hands to travel up and down your body, just gentle stroking without a goal. There's no goal, right? It's just bringing awareness to sensations and touch. What does it feel like if I touch this? Oh, is that a little tender? What does that need, right? What breath can I bring that? Does this need movement or stretch? Do I bring music to it? Like you start asking and feeling and flowing, and you will open like the flower to blossom and bloom. When there's massive anxiety, that might even be difficult because you could be twitching, right? The withdrawal, the twitching can happen with that heightened automatic nervous system. And you ladies that work with me know that I work with the 5-element theory, the Chinese 5-element theory, and I work with the emotional chart of consciousness. I would do a lot of this, like clear your shit is what it's called. So there are certain meridian points in Chinese medicine that have been used for eons that can, and this is where they say energy centers run through, right? And it's connected to your organs, it's connected to your blood system, your cardiovascular system, and they can help reset again and have an emotional, you'll release emotion. So if you're tense somewhere, the muscle is tense, the fascia can be tense, the fascia holds so much emotion, and you start disengaging and you're releasing that emotion, you can do it through certain techniques like this. So some of them are as easy as you're going to breathe, you're going to push these points here. These are your stress release points right here. You can bring your hands back to the back of the neck, massaging the back of the neck. Your next points are here. These are your kidney points. What do you store in your kidneys? All right, your kidneys are the water element in your body. Your kidneys store fear, dread, anxiety, superstition, caution, disloyalty. That's some of the stuff that gets stored there. And you massage these points. You can tap them, massage them. You breathe, you be present with the body. Right along here is your lung points, and this is where a lot of grief, sorrow, sadness. So you massage these points. And there are other points along the body, like the hand. The left hand is your metal elements, your lungs and your large intestines. So shame, guilt, grief, all this stuff. You can massage and breathe into the body, release, shake the body out. I'm not going to go through all of them here, but you can use techniques like that too. You can Google it. I can give you a video if you want something more on that. All of those are other embodiment techniques of physical touch to receive, the body gets to receive and release and move into a state of homeostasis. That's what we all want. Yes, co-creating. Okay, I'm going to bring through the energy transmission now. I have another call in a few minutes, so I will do that. I am banging my feet, tapping my feet on the floor just to move my own energy and cause my light to fall over. So migraines. Now the word I'm getting there is like a vasoconstriction, like a all of the it's like I'm seeing the veins constrict. There's a tightening. I don't even know what that's called. Again, I'm not a doctor. That's what I'm getting. That's kind of like a vaso something constriction. Now, depending on where the headache is, there is a link to certain aspects in the body and certain imbalances as well in the body. And there could be different causes, if that makes sense, and different things that need and want balancing. And it could even be nutritional. It could be emotional. It could be let's say to do with the back of the neck and the shoulders and tension that has just caused that constriction in the mind, in the brain space, to cause the migraine. So it depends on where the migraine is, and also if you're noticing tension elsewhere in the body. And simple things like dehydration will give you migraines. Hormonal fluctuations will give you migraines. So noticing, do you have something else biologically to kind of balance out? Because we're looking at the whole, everything's a whole. It's not always one thing. It can be the whole together. So a lady that I have been working with to my own body stuff, Michelle Patrick, is a freaking expert on all of this. And I remember her talking about the headache stuff before. So somebody, their stuff was hormonal, somebody else's thing was emotional, and somebody else's was third eye activation. So it can be different. It's like individual, if that makes sense. So so a specific point for migraines, back here, and again lift that thumbs into this point, move them in, massage that point, lift. It's like you're not going to push your head off your body or anything, but you're causing a lift, if that makes sense, to relax the tension of the muscles and the crane on the back of the neck. And you're breathing in and out. And now I am looking down, and I'm pushing up again, looking down and breathing in and out. Chin down to the chest. Gently removing my hands, bringing my head up. Okay, so 2 hands behind the ears here. I don't know, can you see? I can't show you, I'm not that flexible. Kind of here. And you're going to like almost push up too. And remember, every time I say when you're breathing, you're softening your sitting space. Soften the urethra, the perineum, the back passage, and if you're a lady, your sacred sex area, your vulva, vagina, okay? You're going to breathe in. And soften. And I'm applying a like pressure here. And on the exhale, I'm releasing the pressure. Again, your temple points here, same thing, you're breathing in. All right, right, like literally this one released something in my solar plexus when I did that one. I'm gonna have to release myself. And then you have your points here. And you can massage, there's points here, you can massage. And you can just massage those. You have them here where you press up and in. Sinuses can cause issues. Migraines is me burping with migraines as well. And then just giving a good old massage to the scalp. My sinuses start running when I was doing that. Another thing is there tends to be a massive lock in the neck. And using this hand to gently, only as far as you can, you're going to loosen these muscles. I don't even know what they're called. And look up that way with both eyes, both eyeballs. Now I'm already... Right, this is a vagus nerve reset one, but it will also open up those muscles that cause constriction that can cause migraines. Like a minute. I've had saliva increase in my mouth as I did that. You saw me yawn and I sighed. And my saliva is still like bursting out when I do that. So the opposite end, I did that side, didn't I? So it's this side now. And you're looking up that way. Look, that's a release, right? I've just had one. Holy moly. So that's a big release I'm having. And there's a release and a relax in the muscles there. You may need longer. You do it for as long as it takes you to get the release. And just be careful with the neck. Don't overexert. Don't do anything that will cause issue. Okay. So I hope that helps, Emery. See how that feels. And the intention for the clearing can include a release of headache stuff. We're going to invite an intention in clearing on anything with his lack, fear, anxiety around especially the lack of physical touch, and for any and all recalibrations that need to want to happen throughout this time-space continuum. All planes of reality, all planes of dimensions, thank you. I invoke in the I Am Presence. I invite you now to invoke in your I Am Presence. We will be working through energy, time realms, space realms, realities. We will be working on the ancestral and the karmic past, present, future. We invoke in the I Am, the I Am, the I Am. Kiala Surotvaye, Kiala Surotvaye. I'm getting my throat chakra cleared. Kira Surotvaye, Kanakatarite. We invoke in the mother energy, the father energy, Gaia, the Christic consciousness of Source, Palladian, Arcturian, Andromedan, Shiva Taraye, Alyatarakaye Shinalaye. We invoke in the healing energies of the waters of Lumeria, Amnyaloroye, Avatia Kwaye, Ara Zui. We invoke in Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, Anna. Yamna ye Sai Baba Yeshua Shiva Dia Kawaii Kalichima Yamna ye Ao Ranya Savagi Kiria Tro Daye Mu. Breathe. Touch the heart. Hold your body. Massage your jaws. I'm yawning, but on your exhale, just soften the sitting space. Open those urethras. Open the perineum. Soften. Receive your safe. Let your body move whichever way it wants. Iatra mukutiri. Tiamat kunt eli anut ant Shiva. Vrana yekeri hisiru turu kunt nevari e hala. Amya tre suru vima kurete eteria trapu. Manu isiba ashana ate Cuyere alla suania. Ambia sare turo sikekara. Manya toro sambia saterata. Ulo signa kaya samukukoi. Harasia au aia au. Mania chuku untkana eseva ala hati. Open the hearts. Breathe into the hearts. Connect with the heart. What do you love? What can you be thankful or grateful for right now? Even if it is this co-creation. Kivantoro sia l'altaria. Muyetereka sindvoro toye. Anyama katakairi kumanakateria chatarakaye. Umanakatara kataramanture bene isimache. Ambrateao, ambrateao. Vuse, vuse. Vamnya tarakatanamana sutra ele sayata. Kumanatarate emanakatai siwaso. Anya. Amnya 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 ainye o yanya amnoro kutoye malasa yetra turotme tukutukutam takatikata tukutukutam takatikate Churatan sam tara tui tirip tara turitum tara kere turatam takir antara terata Wisham the crave to kulema terika to Innara taratam diram daratem Amnara taratam diram tarateram Amnara tarataram dera tarateram Amdra tarateram dera tarateram Kura ela kata alshumter evre eterika vushamanta aishima aishima raktorove kalichima nakate I see amasha itria shikina matari timakui yela abasana maraturu kiana avrahi laka aishima kai kiint it irata shu homakai Parakasana iti Allah saratia taravara viri kiri maravalo soroto iti manasa iki tubu mashaye gali alaka soro amba haiti kumarasaye dia mashaye ra amba isi. So a couple of beings, not just one, that came through there in a few different languages. A couple of galactics and elementals, the mother. Gee, there was a lot actually that came through there. So whatever it is that you needed to receive, I hope you do in love and peace. And you will take whatever it is you need. Thank you. And I am being told, remember the home is in the body. Remember the home is in the body for now. For now. Anywhere there's any despair and hopelessness and the wanting to leave, come home. The home is in the body for now, and you are supported in this. Like these energies are always with us. These beings, these support energies are always there. Avashira tova amaka. It is within us. And we won't fully experience it, this is a message for me too, unless we're back in the body. And in the body, we then attune to the all and the infinite. That is where it's safe to do that. That is where there is no swaying or pulling or pushing or fear or trickster energy or distortions. We will only evoke in true light, through knowingness in that way. The temple is within. You are the altar. Vilama Shambana Ete. Dari Akayisivi. Thank you. All right, my lovelies. I'm sending you all so much love. Please share this with anybody that maybe needs it right now. I know I get a little emotional in this, but maybe that's okay too. right? Tag anybody that you feel might benefit. That is just so this gets shared and it's not stuck in a hole somewhere in the dark. Let's bring it out into the light. I extended because I had some messages come in like at 11 o'clock last night asking me still about the light language experience in March. That starts March the 3rd. I open the doors and our first call is on the 7th, which is a Sunday. Where we have our opening sacred ceremony. It is a women's only group for now. I'm just working with women, those identifying with women, as women. And we will then have activations, personal activations into your own mother tongue of light language. We do some fun exercises. It's about fun and play and curiosity and opening into the divine child of you. We have art exercises, writing in light language. We have expression in ways you may not know. We have dance and body movement as well. So somebody always has light language come through in any of these effects. Sometimes it's toning, singing, humming, clicking, clacking. Light language is soul expression. Everybody has it. We've just forgotten or it's been shut down. And right now it's a tool that we can use to raise the vibration of us, of our families, of our food, our homes, Earth itself. It helps us connect in and attune with our intuition. It heals. It also activates and encodes the body with new codes as part of this ascension process, right? It does a lot. It helps clear lineages, ancestral stuff, anything that's stuck. It clears karmic stuff too. It can be worked as a tool, just like any other tool, by the way. It's not like the end all and be all, but it is an amazing tool to have in your box. And many people are vibing with it right now. And I'm offering these activation classes, courses, not just as an activation, but actually as a deep dive into anything in the shadow, and that we work through that. And we use the light language and the activation that happens in that course to simply become more of who we be. And we do it together. It's a co-creation. And what a wonderful co-creation it is. And I love it. Thank you for those that joined. So if anybody is still interested, it's still open. You can come in. I will be taking off the early bird price tonight. So it's €88. Absolutely nothing for the content that you get in there. Believe me, this is really good value. And I'm not just tooting my own horn. It really is. And you have many, many calls in there. If you can't make them, it doesn't matter. There's usually another one to catch up on. You can make it live. And we have different ones, right? So you may be more interested in the dance or the art or the actual singing or toning. You may be just new to light language, and this may be exactly the space that you're looking for, and a sisterhood as well. A lot of us are soul families. Anybody that works with me, there's a soul. You're a soul family. Are those connections, and I bless them and thank you. Wow, I needed to breathe into that one. So that is March 3rd, that's starting. And if anybody wants to work with me one-to-one and just get deep into your purpose work, deep into what is shadow work, if something's keeping you stuck right now, I have three session options available right now. I have 2 left for 333. Absolutely nothing as well, like really good value in that. Those sessions are 1.5 hours to 2 hours long. So we go kind of deep dive. And there's a lot of support as well, because we have a special members area group for support between your sessions too. So I'm a giver. I like to give and make sure that you're supported in your process and you integrate. All right, so that is available. Those ladies that have already done the light language 1 with me, I will have light language 2. I don't have the dates yet though, because I've had messages asking me. I don't have them yet. But you're more than welcome to stay tuned, and I will have that here ready and open. Level 2 will be quite expansive. We're going to be doing probably all the cash record stuff. We will be attuning healing abilities in level 2. We will be grid working in level 2. So there's going to be a couple of different things, very much for light workers, starseed, into their purpose work and earth work and things like that. So that's it from me. Thank you for joining, and I love you. Bye.